going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is Tyler Weeb from Pro Physique. In today's video, we're going to talk about, are you doing too much cardio? Alright, welcome back everybody. It's September. Can't believe it's already September. Hope you're all having a fantastic start to your week. Enjoyed the long weekend. So before we go ahead and get started, just make sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see any topics done in future videos, go ahead. Go over to my Instagram, shoot me a DM, and I'd be more than happy to do any topics that you guys might be interested in. This is all for you, it's for your education, so I want to know what you want to learn about. But in today's video, we're going to talk about cardio and are you doing too much? Are you not doing enough? How high can we go with cardio? And just some guidelines along with that. I think this is a great piggyback off my last video that I did with nutrition and how low calories can go. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check that out, and you'll kind of see how they kind of work with each other, because I do believe that there is two populations here again that we are going to kind of talk about and kind of give some guidelines on in terms of how high can cardio go or should go with these two different populations. So again, we have your lifestyle clients, right? Clients that just aren't interested in competing but want to drop some body fat. Now, we aren't really gonna go, crazy with the cardio, because a lot of times, we're not getting on stage, everyone has lives, they've got other things going on, and they might only have a finite amount of time to spend in the gym or at the gym. And so we do need to make sure that we aren't getting to a point where cardio is completely taking over their time in the gym, because we still want to make sure that we are focusing on the strength training aspect. And so for a lot of people, and it is going to be different for each individual. I mean, each lifestyle client is going to have, X amount of time available. And that's something important that we establish before we jump into a fat loss phase of, okay, how much time do you have to devote to this? Down the road, are you able, or would you be able to sacrifice something to spend a little bit more time in the gym doing cardio if we eventually get to that point, right? Because we're only going to add in cardio when we plateau. And so if that's someone, we don't need to add in a bunch of cardio, then it's fantastic. But once it gets to a point where that cardio is starting to really interfere with their life, ideally we want to stop before that, because that person just doesn't have that type of time to devote to this, and they also aren't competing. And so it's not we are expecting them to go do 7 days, 1 hour, hour and a half each and every single day of steady state cardio. That's just not going to be a realistic expectation of that person. I mean, unless they just have that time and they are willing to do that as well, right? That is another important thing that we have to keep in mind, is how far is this person willing to go? And that's something that you have to ask your clients. Once you start getting up into some cardio, you have to go, okay, are you okay with this? So usually I really like to start off with steady state cardio for my lifestyle clients. That's where we're going to begin. And again, we're going to find out how much time do you have to devote to this. Now, if that person doesn't have a lot of time, and maybe we're spending an hour to an hour 15 strength training 4 or 5 times a week, okay, I'll go, okay, well, let's start off with some HIIT cardio. So HIIT cardio can be a great way to save some time with still somewhat of the similar benefits to steady state training. Now, we do have to be careful with that doesn't get too high, because it's going to start to interfere with recovery. And so we want to make sure that we are monitoring how much HIIT cardio we are doing, but that can be a great way to save some time but still get the benefits of fat loss through cardio. I still do believe that we need to add in some steady state cardio for that person for the most part. Again, if they are just like, you know what, I only have this time, okay, well, we have to work with what we have, but having that steady state cardio can still be very helpful in terms of recovery, and also just using fat as its main energy source as you kind of start to increase with time. And so there are ways we can manipulate that, right? So if they're training 4 or 5 times a week, like the majority of people, well, there's 2 to 3 days right there where if that person is able to, they can go in and get their steady state cardio done. That is a perfect time. So on the weekend, in the morning, something like that can be a great time for that person to go in. Now, if they can't do that, well, then we are going to have to either do it post-session, or they might have to come back later in the day to the gym. But some sacrifices are going to have to be made for that person to do their cardio. That is just the nature of fat losses. We do need to make some type of sacrifices. Now, this person may not be making the sacrifices that a competitor might be making, but there are still going to have to be some time sacrifices so they can get in. But again, we are continually monitoring how much cardio they're doing, how are they feeling, what is their time like. And once we start to see maybe cardio starting to necessarily probably interfere with things outside of the gym, that's probably a good sign of, okay, you know what, it's getting to be too much, maybe we should start looking at a reverse. But typically by that point, you're probably getting close to the end of a diet anyways, and it's gonna be prudent to start that reverse process. So for that lifestyle client, you know, how much is too much cardio? It's when it really starts to interfere with their lives, their recovery, and they're just getting tired of it and don't want to do it. Those are really good signs going, okay, you know what, this is too much. We should start the reverse process, maybe back it off. We can be a little more aggressive with your calories instead. You know, there's things like that that we can manipulate. Or you can, you know, let's take out some steady state cardio and give you one more HIIT session. Depends on the person, how they're feeling and how they do with HIIT cardio. But again, also don't forget that you can use the HIIT cardio to save some time, right? 20 minutes, we're looking at 20 to 30 seconds all out sprints. That's as long as HIIT cardio should go, with about a minute 40 to a minute 30 of recovery. All right, so that's 4, 5, 6 sprints, about 15 to 20 minutes, boom, done, in and out, can really save you some time. Now, for the competitor, it's going to be a lot different because they have this set goal, right? They want to get on stage, and a competitor's mindset is just going to be different than a lifestyle client's mindset, right? We are trying to do whatever it takes to get the best look that we can so that we step on stage, we look our best. And so that is a whole different story as cardio starts to ramp up as the prep goes along. Now, for a lot of my clients, for competitors, I will not utilize HIIT too much, especially as we get deeper into prep. Now, maybe something at the beginning of prep, while calories are still somewhat high, we're not doing a ton of steady state cardio, our recovery is still really good. It can be just a great way to maybe change up the cardio a little bit. But as prep goes on, as we get leaner, as food gets lower, HIIT is probably not going to be the best bet. Now our steady state starts to ramp up. Now, how much is too much? Hard to say, because at a certain point, we, again, need to do what we need to do to get lean. Now, some people, we are going to have to be cognizant of how much time they have and how much time they can spend in the gym. Once it starts getting to a certain point, I'll start asking them, hey, are you okay with me giving you this cardio? We'll also break up cardio sessions, right? So we'll do, if we're up to like 90 minutes in a session, what I'll have them do is 45 minutes after your training session, come back and do 45 minutes. So yes, they do have to go back to the gym, but we're breaking it up in 45-minute increments, which is a lot easier to handle than a straight 90 minutes. Or again, if they have a day off, okay, you know what? There's nothing going on Saturday mornings. I'm not training. I don't have anything going on. Or Sunday mornings is another one. Let's go in. Let's go knock out 2 hours of cardio. Let's front load it. And that way, if the week gets a little bit busier, you've got a little more or less cardio to do with that less time that you might have. And so front loading it or combining, a couple sessions into just one longer cardio session is a great idea. But there isn't necessarily, probably a limit. You obviously, I don't think you would want to go, 3-hour sessions of cardio in a day. That's going to start to get to be quite a bit and really start to take up some time. But I've had girls up to 2 hours a day of cardio, right? Because you just towards the end, and if you got to get some of that little extra body fat off, you're going to have to do what you got to do. And if calories are already low, we don't want to go too much lower with your carbohydrates and your fats. Guess what? We're going to get pretty aggressive with the cardio because we need to push that body into that caloric deficit so that we can continue to bring that scale down and bring that look that we want. So for a competitor, the question of, how much cardio is too much, I would say getting past 2.5 hours in a session multiple times a week is you've probably gone wrong somewhere in terms of just, getting ready for prep and, through your prep and stuff like that. If you really have to push 2 hours, that's, has happened, and Typically, you just see that towards the end of prep as you're just trying to get that last little bit off. So I would say, 2 hours a day, a few times a week is probably as far as you can go, as you're gonna want to go probably at that point. So that's probably what we're looking at. You got to look at recovery as well, how they're feeling, how they are doing, being pushed, what's the scale doing, where is their food at, everything like that can play a huge role in determining how much cardio is too much. Towards the end of prep though, I probably wouldn't be doing too much HIIT cardio, if at all, considering how much that can interfere with recovery, and that's going to be super, super important for their training sessions. But again, it's going to be up to the individual. If they are just enjoying the HIIT, they're doing well with the HIIT, then we can keep the HIIT in. If not, and we're starting to see some issues, okay, well now we're just going to be doing some steady state cardio, walking on a treadmill, a little bit of an incline, getting good sweat going, and that's just going to be perfect for our purposes of recovery and dropping body fat, considering that steady state uses fat as its main energy source as we get longer into the session. So for the competitor, how much cardio is too much? I get hard to say. It's going to be pretty individualistic, and if they're willing to be pushed or not. But I would say as a great guideline, really probably no more than 2 hours in one session is going to be more than enough. Because remember, you're going to have to walk that back down, and your body's going to adapt to that. And so it might take a little bit longer. But again, at the end of the day, we're going for a look, and if that person wants to do well on stage, and this is what we have to do, for the most part, most competitors are going to be okay with that. All right, guys, that is going to be everything. If you are in the off season, really don't need to do that much cardio. You can keep a little bit in just for heart health reasons, which is definitely a great idea. Go do something fun that you actually enjoy instead of maybe sitting on a treadmill. Unless you enjoy that, go ahead and do it. But I would keep that to quite minimal during the off season. And then as you transition into a diet, lifestyle clients, go until you really start to notice it interfering with your life, or if you don't really want to go much further, then you're okay, not really dropping maybe too much body fat. Time to reverse. Competitors, it's going to get up there for sure towards the end. For the most part, I've had clients on only 7x60 before, and they've been fine, but I've also had to push some to 2 hours a day, a few times a week. So it is going to be individualistic. How much body fat do you have to lose? But at the end of the day, you just might have to do whatever it takes to get to where you want to go with that look. So that is now going to be everything today, guys. So thank you for watching again. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Would greatly appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.